How y'all feeling? You all have a lot of energy. I appreciate this. Some of you, I saw some of you at like 3 a.m. last night. How are you awake? What's going on? It's been an absolutely amazing weekend here at DreamCon. As you can hear in my voice, all right, we're navigating a couple things. Lots of tea, lots of cough drops, things like that. Thank you all so much for showing up today. My name is Tony Weaver Jr. I am the author of a book called Weirdo that focuses on black and nerdy kids learning how to love themselves and embrace who they are. So I am very happy today to be here at DreamCon, where we are all black and nerdy and embrace who we are. So you all are in for a treat. The DreamCon team has been working feverishly towards making this happen. There is a certain series coming out in a couple of weeks for a certain superhero that wears a certain suit of armor. Do I have anybody that's familiar with Ironheart in the audience? So the DreamCon team has managed to get none other than Ironheart herself here to talk to us today. We're going to get the opportunity to hear a bit about her experience, what she brings to the character, but also just her love for all things nerdy. So would you please give an amazing round of applause to Dominique Thorne. Y'all have to clap harder, I'm sorry. She only... Welcome to DreamCon.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So before we get started, I got a couple of questions I'm going to ask you, but I'd like to give you a gift first. As soon as we found out you were going to be here, it was a surprise to you all? Yeah! As soon as we found out you were going to be here, we wanted to make sure that you felt supported, protected, and also just generally uplifted. I ran through Artist Alley, where there are a variety of black illustrators creating some amazing stuff, some of which inspired by Ironheart herself. So this is a illustration from Marcus the Visual, who's actually an official cover artist for Marvel.
Oh my God.
And this is for you.
Oh, thank you. Aww.
Super excited for you to be here. So, we already know who you are, right? We're very familiar. But I feel like you can always tell your story better than anything that we might see or read online. So can you tell us a bit about who you are and what first sparked your interest in acting?
Okay, my name is Dominique Thorne. I'm a young Trinidadian American from East Flatbush, Brooklyn. You know the vibes. So that's who I am. And I first fell in love with acting in between middle school and high school. I think I just watched a lot of TV, and I didn't know much else. I didn't know it could be a career. I didn't know that you could get paid to do it. I didn't know anything other than I thought it was cool, and so I went to acting high school in the city, and from there, my life changed.
The story just had you. You were like, I'm not even thinking about the future. This just feels amazing to inhabit these roles.
Precisely.
So when did you know that acting was a path that you wanted to pursue? You went to a performing arts high school. There are some people that go and then they go through something else.
Oh man, I'm like never able to tell this story without crying, so just like bear with me. Ew.
Prepare the tissues, please.
Okay, when I was, senior year of high school, I had this one teacher who was so like passionate, like he just really believed in us, you know, and like pushed us to get outside of our comfort zone and like, yeah, and there was this program that a lot of kids who were in the arts often did. It was called Young Arts, and this was a national competition. Like, I remember that year they had like 60,000 applicants across the country, and I'm like, I'm not about to do that. Like, they're not about to pick me, you know? And so I didn't, and fast forward, he kept asking me like every day, every week, oh, did you apply? Did you apply? Did you apply? And I'm like, no. The day of the deadline, I hit my dad up like, hey, could you just hold this iPad right quick? And I took the most in the corner of their bedroom, let me just say this monologue real quick type video, just because I started to feel so guilty, like, dang, like, here's this man really championing me and pouring into me, and I've only ever won when I've trusted in the words of the folks who really wanted to pour into me in this type of way. Why would I stop now? Let me not say I didn't try. I submitted those videos, literally, I kid y'all not, 2 minutes before everything closed, like the portal closed, before the deadline was over. And I was accepted, and I went down to Miami for a week. We did a week-long intensive with teachers like Felicia Rashad and James Caan from The Godfather, and just these crazy, crazy, crazy artists. And at the end of it all, I had a teacher, they interview you, like, oh, what was your experience like? How was it? And then they choose like a boy and a girl, very Noah's Ark style, to go to DC and perform for members of Congress at the John F. Kennedy Center and the president and all this craziness. And so at the end of the week, they pull me into the room and they tell me that they chose me as one of those people to go and do that. But then also asks me, like, she looks me square in my face and she asked me to tell her about my experience, and I'm saying, you know, this is beautiful, like I didn't know that it could be like this, and she looks me in my eyes and she says, Dominique, if this is what you enjoy, if this is what makes you feel the most alive, then you deserve to do this and to have this feeling for the rest of your life. I didn't cry. But yeah, that was it.
There's something so powerful about people that can see what we're capable of, even when we're not able to see it ourselves.
Yes.
Like it's a collective part of our story. Sometimes that next chapter requires someone to see what we're capable of. And it's amazing that that teacher did that for you. I'm really glad that you had that experience.
Absolutely.
Because not only did you beat the odds to get accepted into Young Arts, you beat the odds to become one of the top 2, and now you're Riri Williams. What a time. Defying the odds is what you do.
Yeah.
So let's start with the moment that all of this became real. What did you feel when you first heard the words, you are Riri Williams? What, was it words? Was it a phone call? Did you just get an email? What happened?
It was a phone call. It was for sure a phone call. And I was stunned, like shock, genuine awe, I guess. And it took a minute for it to really sink in. I think more than anything, I just felt like gratitude, genuinely, you know that type of gratitude that really stills you, and it's the calming kind. It's not overwhelming. It's like an appreciation. It was a lot of that. Yeah.
Sometimes things happen and you look at where you are, and suddenly your head is filled with all these possibilities of where you could have been.
Right.
It makes you so excited for the moment that you stand in. It kind of forces you to feel that.
Yeah, to be appreciative of all the work and the effort and the consistency, all the everything. That, like you were saying earlier on the stage, like it's so good to be in a room full of people who are proudly who they are, you know? And in a moment like that, you have to kind of be proud of who you are and the fact that you got yourself, with the help of the village, to this moment, you know?
So one of my favorite things about Riri Williams is that she's a genius, right? But in the Marvel universe, sometimes things that happen is that like everybody's a genius. You know, Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, genius. Hank Pym, genius, right? And people start out like, yeah, this guy's smart, this guy's smart, this guy's smart, this guy's smart. But when Riri shows up, her genius is unique. Sometimes we think about intelligence and how intelligence looks, how it's supposed to sound. And Riri is like, I ain't interested in any of that.
Hello?
And I'm smarter than you. So what?
Super genius, actually. Yeah.
Through a character like Riri, young black girls get to see a genius who looks like them, who sounds like them, that comes from a place where they come from. Can you tell us about how that feels, the things about that that make you joyful, but also some of the responsibility that you feel holding a role like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you walk into a space such as this one that you're describing, the role of a genius that has so many pre-existing and also preconceived ideas that fit into archetypes and stereotypes that are, but mostly are not you, it can always be intimidating. And I think that it can also be really deflating, and that's it feels like the expectation, like a really easy expectation to have lined up with this. I mean, we all understand the passion and the energy that comes from the MCU fandom, you know? This is a full, complete universe, and so many of us love it because of that fullness, because of that richness, because of the depth that they take the times to go into and through, and to make sure that everybody has something to hold on to, and to everyone has a favorite part, a favorite character, a favorite corner of this gigantic universe. And I think knowing that they were actually going to turn Riri Williams' story into a part of that universe that we could see and not just read is so exciting, because it makes us think like, oh, that's for me. Like, that's absolutely for me right there. Like, I see it. I don't have to try and relate to it. I don't have to, it's just clean right there on the page. And that, I think, is more so than anything what I hoped to be able to translate to when you do see her and hear her off the page. Like, there is no watering down, there is no diluting of that, what is written, and this, what we see.
Clap it up, clap it up. So I don't speak for everybody in this room, but I do think I speak for many of us when I say that as large as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, it feels much more full having you in it. Your presence, so I didn't know there were devastating divas here. Oh my goodness, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, big DST. Big bruh. Come on. Don't get us started.
Very often in a space like comics, people can imagine aliens that live on different planets, talking dragons, but then the black person shows up and they're like, oh, where'd that come from? How'd that happen? Where did that person come from? So it's very amazing to see you embody this role. We loved you in Wakanda Forever. So I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nervous. Such respect for you and your work. So tell me this. Before you stepped on set, when you thought of Riri Williams, who was she to you? How did you think about the character when you started that journey of crafting? Like, some people that aren't actors, they don't know. When we get the script, it's like they're words until I go, she sounds like this. When she wants to get a point across, she moves her hand like this. Her mannerisms are like this. Her posture is like this. How did you envision the character before you embodied her?
Confidence.
Nice.
I think that was number one, because that's what I felt when I first saw the imagery. Like, I remember before I was a part of this at all, I just remember seeing that image. It was like a comic book cover of Riri Williams with her hair out. She had the red top on, and she was holding the
helmet on the side.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever saw Riri Williams, and I'm like, whoa, like, yeah. You know, and it just gave confidence. And so then by the time there was a story, by the time there were words on the page, it just felt like, okay, is that consistent with what I'm hearing and what I'm being told from, you know, producers and writers and all these other folks? And I think through the story that they hoped to tell, I absolutely saw, I couldn't understand how she would achieve what she has achieved without confidence, especially the type of confidence that has the willingness to show up in spite of those archetypes that she knows she doesn't fit into, you know? She knows that everybody is thinking about Tony Stark. She knows that everyone is gonna expect her to, I don't know, fail at MIT or whatever it is, you know? And she very much does feel like the type of person who is excited to kind of casually throw it back in your face that, no, that's not me, that's not even close to who I am, but this is who I am, and this is who you could be too if you listen to me, because I'm smarter than you. You know?
You don't end up in the lab with Shuri unless you're confident.
Hello.
She ain't leaving the border to come across the world to find you
Massachusetts
unless
unless you're Riri Williams.
The cover that you were talking about, the thing that stuck out to me when I saw that cover was that on most Iron Man covers, he has his suit on. As big of an ego as Tony Stark has, he always has that suit on.
Right.
On his covers, that helmet is on. But Riri shows up and she's like, yeah, I got a helmet, but
You
look
want
at
to see
this full
his
beat
face.
though.
Yeah.
Exactly. His card does not decline. Look at me.
Right.
So in the comics, Riri has gone through a variety of writers. So you look at Eve Ewing, you look at Brian Michael Bendis, people that kind of added different things to the character, and everybody obviously has like a different definition of her when they sit down to write her. How did you build her up in your mind before becoming her in front of the world? What were the things that you kind of looked at and found about her that said, this is how we tell her story?
Yeah, I think what I appreciated of the Brian Michael Bendis telling was her relationship to Iron Man. I think that was necessary before I had a script, because when I got the role, I didn't have a script yet, but I knew that she would show up in Wakanda Forever. I knew what she would kind of do in that story, and then I knew that we would do a deeper dive in the series later. And so my mind was kind of fixed on, okay, who is this girl by the time we get to that series? And I don't want to present her in Wakanda Forever in a way that is shallow, or even though we don't know what her, I mean, we all know what her backstory is, but in the movie, even if we don't get to learn all about her in Wakanda Forever, how do you like leave the door open for folks to want to know more, you know? And so I think getting the understanding of the relationship that she has to Tony Stark in the comics was helpful to kind of think about, is she building this suit of armor because she just admires Tony so bad?
Right.
Or is she like out here doing her own thing and like is taking notes where it applies?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the sense that I got by the time we got to the series. And so I think I love where we've landed now about what her relationship is to Tony Stark, and you'll hear that in the show too. But I think for me, reading the comics was a great way to get the foundation and to really lay that and see also what is it about her that people who love the comics love, you know, because you want to make sure that that's in there as well, hence the whole confidence thing. That's what stood out to me. But then once we got into doing the series, I'm just really, really grateful to have had a writer who knows Chicago like the back of her hand, and a director who is herself born and raised from Chicago, because I think that is what makes her unique and special. It's where she's from, the community that she has, and how that's informed the decisions that she makes now, you know?
It's a type of story that can only be told if you have a deep understanding of the people, but also the culture that those people come from.
Precisely.
Very often we can tell when a black character shows up and you ain't talked to no black people beforehand.
Right.
So you obviously put a lot of work into how Riri Williams shows up on the screen. And speaking of Riri Williams showing up on the screen, it is my understanding that we have a trailer. We have a trailer to show. So you've been doing all this work. We can get the trailer up. Please play the trailer. Let's see what we got going.
For your greatness. genius at MIT.
How come you're not working at one of those fancy tech firms?
After my internship abroad, I want to build something undeniable. Something
Important.
iconic.
It's a brand new
I can give you the tools to help you carry out your vision. But anyone who's ever accomplished anything iconic in life has had to do some questionable things to get it done. What will you do, Riri?
You've bitten off a hell of a lot more than you can chew. I could chew a lot. You know nothing about this man.
You're gonna end up dead or in jail.
This is so much bigger than that.
This is right. Our shady bunker.
My bunker's not shady.
Would a shady bunker have that on the wall?
It's literally above a crate of self-guided missiles.
I'm returning those.
Well, I think we all just saw something iconic. Certainly. It's very interesting seeing the trailer after hearing about all of the ways that you thought about building the character, because that confidence and that fearlessness shows up. I mean, Dochi also helps, right? But Dochi also helps. So, beyond suits and science, what do you hope fans walk away with after watching Riri's journey? Especially those that don't normally see themselves in superhero characters.
Oh man, some excitement. I think more than anything, like I feel so strongly like it is high time for us to have fun
Yeah.
and to enjoy what we're seeing, enjoy the work that we have put in. I mean, there's so much has had to happen. So many people have had to come into this space and be legendary, become icons, be unforgettable in order for me to get to play a character like this. And so I think once people get to consume it and they go so far as to feel like they do see themselves in this person, or that this is someone that they want to spend more time with and get to know, whatever the vibe is. Like, I just really hope that at the end of it all, people are walking away excited and encouraged and uplifted and ready for more, and just wanting to continuously push and add to this momentum that we have.
Yeah. Every black character that we get, no matter, please clap. All of the applause for you, truly. Every black character that we get, every black story that gets the opportunity to be told exists in the context of every story that came before.
Right.
So it's amazing to see you fully embodying this moment. I think that at this time, we need a story like this.
Yeah.
I think our community is really excited to see a character like this.
Yeah.
Now, Riri Williams was in Wakanda Forever, and Wakanda Forever was directed by a guy that I'm sure a lot of people know, Mr. Ryan Coogler, the honorable. So I have to ask, have you seen Sinners?
Absolutely. In true IMAX at Lincoln Square.
You managed to get one of the golden tickets to one of the specific showtimes.
Yes. I was staring at the screen like this, but I loved it.
So as a fan, can you tell us how did you enjoy Sinners? What were your thoughts?
Oh man, that is the excitement that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's when you remember why you love movies, why you love these characters, why you love these stories, because it truly is that. It's a story that was so well crafted. We don't need to be professionals in the field to know that this man had a very clear perspective, that he had a very rich love and respect for the people that he was, talking about in this story, and that it had been with him for a long time, and when you have a perspective and you have a respect and you have all those things, and you're also a true artist, like a real creator, it doesn't take much for excellence and excitement and thrills and all of these fabulous things that make Hollywood movies to just roll off of you effortlessly, you know? And I think this was a fabulous reminder for the world that Ryan Coogler really is that guy.
Don't bet against Ryan Coogler. That the respect that you mentioned, I think is what elevated the film a lot. Because very often we see other cultures portrayed in media with this element of respect. Oh, we're talking about Zeus. We're talking about Greek mythology. We're talking about Thor, right? We're talking about Roman mythology.
Yes.
We're gonna go do the research. We're gonna find all the details. And this column has to look like this because in historic times it looked like this. Whereas when we look at period pieces that normally feature black people, it's like, well, make sure the sound effect for the whip crack is right. But otherwise, everything else is fine. We don't need to think about it at all. But when you look at Sinners, it's very clear that the details in that time, that era, were amazing. So a lot of people are like, in my opinion, a lot of people are waking up to Ryan Coogler. They're like, oh, Ryan Coogler, he's such an amazing filmmaker. He's such a visionary. But you knew that already, right? Yeah. You had the opportunity to be on set with him every day. What was it like working with him?
Oh man, it really was like meeting your heroes. Throwback to around the same time that I was applying for that Young Arts program. That was also the first time that I had seen Fruitvale Station. And before that, I was doing Shakespeare and other theater productions, Moliere. I was not, seeing Fruitvale Station is what made me curious about film to begin with. And so to fast forward and get to the point where I'm on set with this man every day, it really is just, again, that feeling of gratitude and deep awe, like, wow, this is what a visionary smells like. This is what it looks like, you know? But it's also, I don't know what the word is exactly, but restorative is like what's coming to mind. To see someone who you know to be so great. Their work, their product, the commitment, their care, like for the craft, you know that it's incredible. But them in the everyday is so human and kind and calm and simple and present, you know? It's a beautiful duality and a beautiful balance, and it only makes sense.
It feels reassuring in a way.
Exactly.
Because we hear about representation, how important it is in fiction, but representation in people, in industries, to look at a black director that has been able to say, I love this medium, I love this craft, and I have a passion about telling stories, and I am going to invest that passion into creating things that get other people inspired. I don't think a single artistic person left the Sinners Theater without being like, man, where my notebook?
Right.
I gotta write, I gotta get my camera, I gotta get my stylus, I gotta start, where's my tablet? I gotta start drawing.
Exactly.
That's what amazing art is able to do.
Yeah.
So, Riri Williams she's more than a tech genius. She's bold, she's multi-layered, and she's also authentically black in ways that we don't always get to see. Behind the scenes, how did you advocate for her to feel authentic and grounded?
You know, this was one of the first times that I think that type of advocacy was made so much simpler because I wasn't doing it alone.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Coogler is a producer. Because Zinzi Coogler is a producer. Because Chinaka Hodge is a black woman, our writer. Because Sam Bailey and Angela Barnes are black women, our directors. I think this story really is being told by the people who are best equipped to tell it, and that's us, you know? Obviously, it exists in this larger context of the MCU, but I really do give them their kudos for going out and finding the people who would do the best job of telling it. And so when it came to advocating, it felt less like advocacy and more like conversations, because we all know what this needs to be, you know?
When we don't have to spend time, please, all applause, please. when we don't have to spend time fighting behind the scenes, we can spend that energy on stuff that actually moves the project forward.
camera.
Yeah.
You hear so many stories in Hollywood about black actresses that say, well, up until 10 years in my career, I had to hire my own hairstylist.
Yeah.
Because people who were in hair and makeup didn't necessarily know what they were doing.
Right.
They didn't know how to make me look the way that I needed to look. But to have a director and to have producers that know about all of those tiny things behind the scenes. I know Ryan Coogler is a fan of the hair and makeup because the mustache is pristine. Okay. It works hard to trim that mustache. Exactly. Now, you mentioned when you read the comics that Riri's relationship with Tony was something that was very kind of central to her character. Now, as we know as MCU viewers, it's a little difficult to have a relationship with Tony right now because he love you 3,000, but he a little somewhere else right now. We don't really know where he at. As a matter of fact, I don't even know where Robert Downey Jr. is. I heard he was wearing a green cloak now. He look a little different.
I know nothing.
Yeah. So, my question is there anything you can tell us? Give us a sneak peek into what we may expect in the series.
Well, to be super, super clear, when I talk about the relationship, getting that understanding from the comics, it really was because that was really to support my understanding that Ironheart and Riri Williams are and will be very different from Tony Stark and Iron Man. The two are not the same.
Not at all.
She is very much her own person, and that's exciting, And what I can also say is that Robert Downey has been very supportive and excited in a way that, it surprised me. I was like, oh, word, yeah, And that's nice to know that he sees the vision. And so as far as that's concerned, that has also been really cool and really exciting to know that, okay, well, word, we are continuing stepping into this iron mantle, and all those involved, we know what time it is, but in terms of everything else that the MCU has cooking up, I am equally engaged and curious about where exactly they're gonna take that.
You're like, they didn't tell me anything.
No.
Nothing at all. So we have a few minutes left. I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Can you tell us the first Marvel character that you ever loved? What character you were like, oh, this is my person?
Hawkeye.
Oh!
Okay.
Would not have seen that coming
I
in a
know,
million
no
years.
one ever
That's
does.
not where I thought we
I
were going.
love Hawkeye. Like, come on.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe archery is accessible. Like you could.
Listen, he was purely mortal and making things work. Okay,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
working.
Hawkeye is the human equivalent of he don't miss. That's like that.
And didn't, and never did.
Honestly, I buy it. I hear it.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that you worked with on set that felt intimidating? Not because they were mean or anything, but you were kind of like, oh, they're like right there. Oh my goodness.
Winston Duke for sure.
Oh.
Improv with Winston is so unfair. I would never. I think there was one day, it's when we're walking down that ramp to go to the battleship, and he was just spitballing, and I'm spitballing too, but I'm like, dang, can I think about this? The camera is rolling, oh my God. He's just on it, So it's like fun, but yeah, don't want to improv toe-to-toe with him.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to improv with him. I also wouldn't want to go roast for roast with him either, because
Facts.
bald-headed demon. What? How? Where did that come from? I felt hurt.
Right. Here go little old Riri. Yeah.
Okay, so who made you laugh the most off camera?
AJ Crimson.
Oh.
May he rest in eternal glory. My makeup artist for sure. Yeah.
What superpower would you have if you had the option? What superpower would you have? No technology allowed.
No tech. I would love to fly. I love the sky.
Oh, I see. You're like, I need to be up there.
Yeah, I think it could be really cute, really nice. See, we're in the clouds right now. Like,
It's true.
yeah, to fly. I
So,
wanna be up.
Tell me this, the ability of flight,
Uh-huh.
but like flight, like levitate, like you think it and you can just go, or do you have to like try? Do you have to apply
Oh.
physical energy? What's your call?
No, definitely like think it and
Okay,
go.
cool.
You know, it requires
Okay.
some skill, some
Okay, so-
practice to really get a handle on it, but we not flapping.
You wanna storm it. You wanna
Right,
just
precisely.
I see.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, over the course of our time, you talked about this context of how every story is a result of the Black creatives and artists that came before them.
Yeah.
And Wakanda Forever, sequel to Black Panther, we can't mention that franchise or that character at all without honoring the late Chadwick Boseman. Ryan Coogler and many other members of the cast and crew for Wakanda Forever talked about how when they were making that film, they were telling a story, but they were also navigating grief, navigating kind of this hole that was left by this larger than life, amazing visionary performer dedicated not just to the craft, but dedicated to our culture. How did that energy shape the way that you approach your character and your craft? And like not even just for Ironheart, but just in general.
Whew, that's such a good question. I think also coupled with the fact that shortly after filming, I would also lose my makeup artist, AJ Crimson, who was also on this project with us. It definitely made the entire experience a gigantic reminder to really and truly be present. Like you hear people talk about that all the time, like mindfulness and this and that. But then to be in proximity, to work with every day people who are grieving the loss of something and someone that was so much bigger than life, it definitely made it clear that my role in this project would 100% be to be a supporting vessel, character, whatever, through and through. Like from Riri being like a little sneak peek to Dominique, this being her first time in the MCU, that just made it so clear to me that yeah, I'm here to support you and whatever it is that y'all need. And then on the flip side, being able to reflect on that and also losing someone close to me, who was the person that truly made me and everyone laugh the most on set. It was really just such a reminder, like what a privilege it is to be able to do something like this, to be able to tell these stories that are taking the efforts and the work of the folks and the actors and the artists who came before us, that cleared the way to set the stage for us to do this, and to now encourage other people to have fun with it, you know, to recognize and to take ownership of the fact that we are here, like we in this, we not fake here, we're not in the back trying to be cute, we're front and center, we're telling the stories, we're telling them thoughtfully, we're telling them creatively, we're telling them to scale in a way that is only going to continue to invigorate other young artists to come up behind us and do what we're doing times 10. And I think that's something to really be proud of, and it's sad to say that it takes losing giants and folks who are at the forefront of that movement and also just that way of living life, you know? It's kind of sad that it takes something like that to really let that sink in and register. And for me, for that to happen at that time, when it's also my first time in the MCU, I think it was also very soberingly so, a reminder for me to never continue further down this path without great reverence and respect for what a gift this is, you know? Because nothing is for certain.
A quote from a person that in my opinion is very central to Black Panther lore because he's all up and throughout the soundtrack. My good friend Kendrick Lamar, Kung Fu Kenny, okay? In To Pimp a Butterfly, on the last track, he says, when he's talking to Tupac, that quote where he says, "We're not even really rapping, we just letting the dead homies tell stories for us." Every time we show up and embody these characters, it's people that we've lost recently, but it's also entire generations of people for whom getting the chance to tell a story like this was their wildest dream. people that wanted to freely be themselves, people that wanted us to be front and center. All those people show up and are channeled through the work that we do. And I think hearing you talk about your character, but also seeing the amazing work that you've done in the character so far, truly you deserve all the love and applause and praise for what you're doing, moving our story forward. Thank you so much for joining us here at DreamCon. We look forward to seeing Ironheart when it comes out. Everyone, please give Dominique Thorne a round of applause.